Hey folks, I'm Milotash. Today we're going to discuss 3 small fixed blade knives for small hands. First, let's define a fixed blade. A fixed blade knife, as opposed to a folding knife, are knives that are fixed in place and those blades can't be folded down. They typically come in a sheath or a holding case as the blade does not collapse into itself to protect you from the sharp edge of the blade when storing it. Fixed blades typically have more strength and durability than folding knives, so they're great for tasks that are a bit more heavy duty. I've got a fair amount of knives, both fixed and folding, and I'm awfully fond of a fixed blade when I'm out in the woods, hiking, camping, gardening, or doing some bushcraft adventures. The problem is fit. Most knives in the outdoor gear industry are geared towards large adult male hands, and I have hands that truly fall in the middle of that binary. My hands are larger than the average adult female, but smaller than the average adult male, and measuring in at 3¼ inch hand breadth. So I often find that knives are either humongous or super tiny and made in stereotypical feminine colorways that I'm not super into. There are some knives out there, though, that are neither huge or tiny in pink, and the problem is that they aren't labeled clearly as such. Size seems to be in the eyes of the beholder or knife maker or brand, so I have to hunt down knives that have reviews that were given great ratings but dinged a point or two by large-handed folks because they felt a little too small for their grasp. When I would read something like this, I would think, perfect, jackpot, and start mocking up the exact dimensions on a cardboard cutout before I'd purchase the knife online. So the 3 I've got for you today here are great for hands that are in between hands or fall into the smaller than big hands department but aren't micro. They are nice all-around knives that don't fall victim to stereotypical gendering and would fit like a good middle-of-the-road knife. Let's get into it. First up is our premium blade of the 3. This is the Hidden Canyon Hunter Fixed Blade by Benchmade. It's sold as a small-framed hunting fixed blade that is designed for precision tasks. It's a drop-point stainless steel knife which boasts a balance between edge retention, corrosion resistance, and durability. The handle is made from a stabilized wood, which is treated and infused with resin. This knife fits like it was tailor-made for me. The stabilized wood feels secure in my hand, unlike other wood-handled knives due to the slight texture that has been imprinted on the knife. It's subtle, but it provides way more grip than a smooth finish wood handle like some of my other knives. And the handles combined with the anchor points with jibbing are just superb. There's jibbing that runs the spine of the handle and the tip and near the handle to be able to pop up a pointer finger for closer, finer work. The drop point has kind of a bigger belly than I'm used to carrying, but I love it, especially when doing my own game dressing, which is basically just a slab of meat from the grocery store and readying it for the fire or cutting up some veggies and cheese. The aesthetics are stunning as well. I love the colors, the matte finish on the blade, the matte finish screws, the slight notches that narrow as the handle meets the blade, and everything just feels good when holding it. My only rubs on this knife are the sheath and the finger choil at the front end of the blade. The finger notching is just big enough to nearly fit 2 fingers in it, but I get the reasoning for it. It's a big-handed world and we're all just living in it. It's not a big problem though during use. I can easily still slip 1 finger in there and it doesn't feel too loosey-goosey. Second is the sheath, which is a scout-style sheath or horizontal sheath meant to be worn sideways on your belt. Don't get me wrong, the sheath is pretty. It's a decent leather for an included sheath and it fits the knife like a glove, but 1, I don't love scout-style sheaths. I prefer a vertical sheath, and 2, this particular scout style, you have to be so purposeful when guiding the knife in so it rests just perfectly that it's silly. There's actually 2 little gaps on either side of the inside track where if you miss that track, the blade will slip off to either side and rest funny and oddly enough probably cut the leather itself. But a person could get a custom sheath or mod this so it's actually upright and vertical, but for the price I would like it to just be close to godliness. Speaking of price, this is a $200 knife. It does look like it's currently sold out on Benchmade at the time of this video. I got mine a few years ago, but some very exciting news. The new model has a vertical sheath, it looks like, so that's pretty sweet. And otherwise, if you can't wait, Amazon has a few hanging around I've seen online. Otherwise, you might be able to snag one from REI. Next up is our middle-of-the-road knife, which is my personal favorite and one which I have done a few modifications on, which we'll talk about. This is the ESEE Azula with a standardized skeletonized handle in black with a TKC G10 handle in Ranger Green. Now, all that's fancy talk for a darn good knife that's simple, to the point, has a point, and will get your job done. The knife itself I snagged for $45.95, which isn't dirt cheap, but it's still affordable for a knife from a brand with a rad reputation and unconditional warranty that's hard to beat. The company's philosophy is simple: treat the customer with respect, keep the prices fair, provide the best in quality, and never teach a skill or provide a piece of gear that hasn't been tested in the real world. If you've seen my other video on the first fixed blade I ever purchased, the ESEE4, you'll know that I've been so dang impressed with ESEE since my early knife days. It's hard to find a balance between, quality and price in anything that you purchase, but ESEE does it. The Azula is made from 1095 carbon steel with a powder coat finish with a drop point blade. It has simple jibbing with a lanyard slot at the butt of it. Overall length is 6 1/4 inch, cutting edge length is 2 5/8. Normally you'd see this knife out of the box with skeletonized handle, which is truly a style of knife that you can do anything with or choose to do nothing at all with and just use it as is out of the box. You can do paracord wraps or purchase scales for it, which that's what I decided to do. The scales I got from TKC are fantastic. They have a little bit of texture to them, so no slip and slide, and they fit like a puzzle piece with both the knife and then also in my hand. It really locks up the blade when I get my palm wrapped around it. A slight issue would be pricing on the scales, because that's dang near the price of the knife itself, coming in at $37.32, but it made this knife perfect. And I don't use that word lightly, so in the end I don't have complaints. Lots of color options as well if green isn't your thing. Size-wise, I have 4-finger grasp with the pinky getting full purchase. There isn't too much handle or too little. The blade length is exactly what I want it to be for around camp tasks or even everyday tasks as a pocket knife folder replacement. The plastic molded sheath clicks into place each time and is fairly slim and not flashy, so it sits well on my belt line under a shirt. This is hands down my absolute best fitting knife, both considering my folders and fixed blades. Length, girth, and texture, all 10 out of 10s, and I love the simple style of it. Quality and warranty to boot. This knife coming in under $100 is a damn steal. Highly, highly recommend if you fall into a normal to smaller hand size compared to the average. Let's chat about our final knife, which is the budget-friendly fixed blade, the Kershaw Brace. Kershaw was a brand I purchased my first knife from. They use budget-friendly steels and sell knives at a perfect entry price point with all sorts of different styles. Similar to how my dad has carried a buck knife at his waist every day for his whole life to do literally everything, hammer, pry, dig, you name it, I've used the Kershaw Cryo for my daily get dirty and get it done knife. I selected the Brace as an entry-level full-tang fixed blade due to its size and Kershaw's ability to offer affordable steel. It has a blade length of 2 inches and is made from affordable 8CR13 MOV steel. It comes in a stone finish with some simple scales for grip, so not so bare bones as the aforementioned Azula, and also comes with a polypropylene sheath. This knife is the smallest of the 3 I've picked out here. I get a solid 3-finger wrap on the handle, and the blade feels small as well. Kershaw considers this a neck knife, which is considered a small knife that would be worn around your neck for easy access to pull out of its sheath and use at a moment's notice. It does come with a cord attached to the sheath, but I actually prefer to use the webbing slot on the sheath to secure it to one of the straps on my backpacks. It's a very thin knife and lightweight, so you hardly know that it's there. I did still choose to include this knife in this video despite it being on the smaller size because I wouldn't consider it a micro blade like the Boker Magnum Lil Friend Micro, which I reviewed. It's large enough to feel like you're holding something with some amount of control, and it's enough to get enough purchase on with an apple slice on the trail. Now, things to note, the price point impacts the quality here on all fronts. The sheath feels light and a bit cheap. The steel for this knife will require more maintenance for gaining a sharp edge, and stainless steel feels a bit muted with the jibbing. That all being said, it's an easy buy at $30, on sale off the website currently, and $37 full price. You can snag it for $25 on Amazon. So if you're looking to try a full-tang blade for the first time but are hesitant and are still learning how to care for a knife, this is the perfect option. Even if you've been a knife pro for years, this is a small one to pick up, throw it on a backpack as a backup blade, and forget about it. And that wraps us up, folks, for 3 fixed blade knives that are neither gigantic or falling under the shrink it and pink it rule of thumb from the outdoor gear industry. Be mindful of laws in your states regarding fixed blade knives and carrying them in public spaces. And as always, I'm Milotash. Thanks for watching.